हेलो। हेलो।
हेलो।
गुड इवनिंग सर।
गुड।
अरे मैं सर नहीं हूँ।
तो सर कहाँ है?
लगता है अभी ज्वाइन नहीं किया हूँ। अभी तक कुछ हुआ नहीं ना।
नहीं,
ठीक।
अभी से सर कुछ बोले हैं कहाँ?
ठीक है, वेट करते हैं। कैंसल। सर नहीं है क्या अभी तक? सर या मैम?
शायद नहीं।
क्लास कैंसिल तो नहीं है ना?
नहीं, क्लास तो है।
तो हम सर उस दिन बोले थे जो हम लेंगे क्लास वीक 1 से वीक 8 तक, वो है कहाँ इस मीटिंग में?
हाँ वही बोले थे शायद से, हाँ।
फिर कोई टीचर है ही नहीं इसमें।
हाँ बस एक होस्ट है CS।
नहीं, वो तो पहले से ही थे, 1 घंटे पहले से ही।
नहीं,
ऐसी
स्टार्टिंग
है।
में दीपक सर थे, अभी नहीं है।
अच्छा, दीपक सर लेंगे मतलब क्लास।
When does the meeting start? When will the class will start?
पता नहीं भाई। इधर CS पोस्ट 1001 जो दिखा रहा है CS पोस्ट।
ये 1 घंटे पहले से ही है यार।
अच्छा
हम्म,
शुरू में चले गए बीच में।
हाँ
सर थे, शुरू में सर थे, उसके
अच्छा
बाद
थे,
चले गए। हाँ
कुछ कह
हाँ,
के गए।
कुछ नहीं बोले।
दीपक सर।
हाँ हाँ, दीपक सर। यूट्यूब पे स्ट्रीम भी चल रहा है, तो वैसे क्लास नहीं होता तो यूट्यूब पे स्ट्रीम क्यों चलाते?
हम्म,
हो, हो सकता है कुछ अर्जेंट प्रॉब्लम आ गया हो।
कुछ भी हो सकता है।
हाँ वॉशरूम भी
हाँ।
हो सकता है।
हम्म।
सही बात है। गाइस कब
सेशन
तक
को
वेट कर।
और एक
सेशन।
इन्फॉर्मेशन हो जाता ना, कंफर्मेशन।
हम्म।
ये 20 हो रहे हैं, 10 मिनट में नहीं आया तो लेफ्ट कर देंगे।
कांटेक्ट है किसी के पास सर का?
हाँ, फोन नंबर है।
फोन नंबर है? एक बार मैसेज करके देखो या कॉल करके देखो।
रुको मैं कॉल लगा।
ऐसे बड़े पहुंचे हुए इंसान हो तुम यार।
गूगल सर्च करो ब्रो।
हाँ
गूगल पे सर्च करो।
अच्छा, गूगल सर्च पे नंबर मिल रखा है उनका।
हाँ हाँ, मैंने कॉल भी कर रखा है।
किसी और को मत मिला देना भाई।
नहीं भाई, एक बार बात हुई है मेरी इनसे, जब वो पहले वाले टेस्ट के 1 दिन पहले।
अच्छा ठीक है, मिला मिला।
हम लोग को भी नंबर दे दे भाई।
ठीक, अभी चैट पे दिख रहा हूँ।
Sir,
विवांशु भाई,
यस ब्रो।
बात हुई सर से?
सर फोन नहीं उठा रहे, लगाया था। हो सकता है कि कैंसिल हो गई हो क्लास।
हाँ, क्या करे भाई?
4 मिनट और देखते हैं, फिर बताते हैं।
क्या कॉल नहीं लगा?
नहीं, कॉल तो लगा सर, उठा ही नहीं दे।
अच्छा,
मुझे लग रहा
मैसेज
है वो
डाल दो
सब
एक वैसे, सर कहाँ क्लास है।
जो कॉल नहीं उठा रहा वो मैसेज कैसे देखेगा ब्रो।
अरे शायद कुछ अर्जेंट प्रॉब्लम आया होगा, सो
हाँ, हो
आई
सकता है।
थिंक क्लास रीशेड्यूल हो जाए।
हाँ, यही हो सकता है।
ईमेल पे करें मैसेज सपोर्ट टीम को।
हाँ, सपोर्ट टीम को करो।
आई थिंक कुछ मत करो, वो कैलेंडर पे ऑटोमेटिकली वो रीशेड्यूल
नहीं नहीं,
करा
वो कह रहा है
देंगे, मतलब।
पूछने के लिए शायद से।
अरे तो कब तक बैठे रहेंगे, 6:30 हुए।
when does the meeting start?
Hello. Is sir audible to anyone?
हाँ हाँ। ओ,
Yes, you are audible. Anyone want to teacher for today?
क्या?
Anyone want to become teacher today?
कैसे बन जाएंगे भाई?
I want to ask doubts.
कौन से डाउट है ब्रो?
What is happening? Can anyone please still?
This is a revision session, no? But
बन जाओ भाई, कोई भी टीचर बन जाओ भाई।
बता दो कुछ ना कुछ।
बता दो, उसकी कोई हेल्प कर दो, पूछो भाई तुम। सर जब तक नहीं आते तुम अपना डाउट ही क्लियर करो, या फिर 8 से 10 आ सकते हो ना, डाउट है अगर तुम्हें तो।
सर थे पहले मीटिंग में कि क्लास स्टार्ट हुई नहीं अभी तक एक बार भी?
बच्चे
सर
कह रहे
थे
हैं कि थे।
लेकिन चले गए।
ओके ओके।
If class is not started, then why it is streaming on YouTube?
ए, कोई कह रहा है कि सर आए थे, सर ने रिकॉर्ड ऑन किया और फिर सर को कुछ काम आया शायद से कुछ, तो चले गए। उसके बाद से वो रिकॉर्ड पे लगा हुआ है, अभी आए नहीं ऐसे।
तो सर ऐसे थोड़ी थोड़ी ना भूल जाएंगे जो क्लास मतलब।
भूल तो नहीं जाएंगे, मगर हो सकता है कुछ जरूरी काम हो।
Can
यूट्यूब में
anyone
सेट
clear my
रहता है ना।
math doubt?
क्या बोल रहे हो भाई?
अपना डाउट पूछ रहा है।
मुझे प्रोसीजर बता दो कोई, उसका कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में नहीं आता। जुडिशरी तक पहुंचा तो वहाँ पे उसका प्रोसीजर समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
Mail to support team.
आप भी बता दो।
क्लास होंगे कि नहीं, लीव कर दूं क्या?
15 मिनट प्लस तो हो ही गए।
जो होगा।
कोई मैथ का सेशन अटेंड किया है तो सर से बोल सकते हैं।
हाँ ये भी ठीक है, तुम सर के पास क्या बताओ।
शायद बोल दे सर से।
कोई जाके कह सकता है।
मैथ्स में तो टीए है ना।
हाँ टीए के पास मगर नंबर होता है, जैसे मतलब हमारे क्या नाम है, सोहम सर के पास नंबर रहता है, दीपक सर का, आई गेस। मगर ये तो कह रहा है नंबर इसके पास भी है, नंबर ही नहीं मिला ना शिवांश से।
नंबर सबके पास है।
वैसे क्या है एक बार बताना। हाँ भाई,
हम्म।
क्या है
क्या?
नंबर एक बार बताना।
बोलिए, हम बताऊं। 044।
044।
हम्म।
कहीं और का तो नंबर नहीं दे रहा ना?
क्या?
कहीं और का नंबर तो नहीं दे रहा ना?
इस ट्रू कॉलर नहीं है क्या फोन में?
हाँ मैंने डाउनलोड नहीं किया, बस हटा दिया। वो फिर हमारे
रहने दो।
बारे में इंफो ले लेते हैं। हाँ बता क्या है, 044।
तो भाई इधर मत पता, यूट्यूब में लाइव चल रहा है क्यों?
अच्छा हाँ, वो चैट में भेज दे, तो चैट
चैट
में
में
भेज
बोल दे
सबसे
भाई,
बढ़िया।
चैट में।
प्राइवेट चैट में भेज दो यार, यूट्यूब में लाइव लाइव सेशन
हाँ
नहीं
सबसे
दिलवानी।
बढ़िया वही चैट में भेज दे।
एवरीवन में भी भेजेगा तो यूट्यूब पे नहीं आएगा।
हाँ
रुको।
सर आ गए क्या?
Anyone can solve my doubt?
भाई ग्राफ अभी उतने पढ़े नहीं मैंने।
11.1.
मैथ का टीए टेक्निकल डाउट क्यों नहीं जाके देख लेगा।
मगर वहाँ पे टी एस ऐसे पी वाई क्यों ले रहे हैं, इसीलिए डाउट यहीं पे पूछ रहा है। और मैथ के वो नहीं होंगे टीए सेशन डाउट
No,
वाले?
no, there is no other section until the exam happen.
ये तो बड़ी गलत बात है, ऐसे डाउट आ गया तो पूछेंगे कहाँ।
गाइस आई थिंक अभी हमें मीटिंग लीव कर देना चाहिए।
हाँ
एंड जो
सर
भी
नहीं आएंगे।
होगा वो रेशेड्यूल हो जाएगा एंड मेल भी आ
हाँ
जाएगा आई गेस।
इस
हाँ ये
मीटिंग
सही
में
है।
कैंपस में कौन कौन बच्चे हैं? जो चेन्नई में है कैंपस में, कोई है क्या?
कैंपस में कोई बच्चा थोड़ी ना होगा भाई।
तो नंबर कैसे मिल गया आपको? किसी का नंबर बोल रहे थे यहाँ पे।
गाइस लेफ्ट कर दें क्या? बहुत ज्यादा टाइम हो गया।
हाँ हाँ, लेफ्ट कर देते
ठीक है
हैं, वो
सर।
आ जाएगा,
ठीक।
रीशेड्यूलिंग आ जाएगा। चलो,
बाय दोस्तों।
बाय बाय।
बाय।
बाय बाय।
हाँ भाई, बता दे क्या डाउट है।
Sir, is sir there? Or
Can we leave this meeting?
There is no one who can solve my doubt.
बताओ भाई, डाउट तो पूछो, फिर तो सॉल्व होगा।
I share my screen. Okay.
ओके।
You can see my screen.
यस यस। टेल व्हाट इज योर डाउट।
Question number 1, how to solve it?
Impossible topological critical distribution. 1 minute, bro. And the steps are mentioned below along with the longest path. Okay. And so, what is your doubt? Scroll down. See, first they have given us a topological order, and we have to find the error now. Yeah. Scroll up. I will tell you. At starting. Thanks. Bye. What are you saying, bro?
Hello. Hi. Is everyone there?
Yes.
Actually, I have a doubt from quiz 2.
In computational thinking.
Yes, computational thinking.
Okay, you can ask. If possible, we'll try to help you.
Okay. QPF2 question paper of quiz 2.
Can you share your screen?
Question number 12.
Can you share the question once, because we are not having the question paper right now?
Okay. How do I share it? Like,
You can share your screen maybe, or in the chat option if you can type.
okay. I'll just click a pic maybe. 1 minute. A minute. Yeah, I've shared the pic. Is the question seen? Is the pic seen?
Yes, just a
Okay.
second.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, it can return any key value like A, B, C.
Okay.
The like the options जो ऑप्शंस हैं वो चार होंगे, तो उस हिसाब से हमें इसका आंसर मिलेगा। जैसे ये दूसरा वाला ऑप्शन है, the procedure always returns 1 2 3 4 5 since the key A comes first alphabetically, तो ये नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि डिक्शनरी में ना ऑर्डर होता है और आई है।
I'm sorry. I do not understand Hindi. Okay, so you are
सॉरी,
telling that the
ओके
procedure
ओके,
always returns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
no no, this is wrong answer. Okay, like in third line, see in procedure in third line, sorry in second line, for each I in keys dictionary, that means any key like A key A 1 2 3 4 5, B 6 7 8 9, and C only 9, I think. So it can return any key. Okay. So
Okay.
we have to see options which are wrong.
Okay.
Like this option is correct. The procedure may return 6 7 8 9
Okay.
because it can return any key. And this second option, the procedure always return. They are saying always return, but this is wrong option. So like this, we
Okay.
have to do this, Sushi.
But actually by order A, B, C, A is coming first, right? So as it will
No,
go,
So it's not necessary that always the answer will be of A. It can return any value.
yes. In
That's why,
dictionary,
like,
order is
uh,
not important.
as it is an MCQ based question, so we need to choose the most appropriate one. When we are saying that it will always select the key A, that time we are saying that that B and C is incorrect, which is not true. So the procedure may return this value is correct because the order doesn't matter in dictionaries.
yes, but how will for each I run? Say for each I in keys dictionary means first it will take A, then B, then C, right?
Yeah, because now it's written in that order, but in the next program, somebody can change the dictionary, can change the value of the dictionary, the order of the dictionary, and it will return some other value. And
Yes,
here
but in
also the
this,
sequence is not the matter. Sequence doesn't count over here.
but that's what I don't understand how. Because in this, they have particularly given the dictionary and the keys in that order, and they have said for each I in the keys. So, how can you be sure that A is not in the first? Or I just
Can you say the remaining second options?
no
So, first of all, you tell me what is the keys of this dictionary?
A, B, C
So, what type of value is that? I mean, can you tell me the value of that? Like it is
list.
list or it is
Yeah,
dictionary,
it is a
right?
list. A is a
Yeah,
list,
it
B is
is
a
a
list.
list. Yeah. So we are iterating over the list, right? Just
We
because
are
of
I.
this for each. Okay. But
Okay.
in that list, what are the values in that list? Tell me. For
Okay.
this specific question, what are the values of that list? What are
One,
the
two, three.
values of keys of dictionary?
Okay, the list is one, two,
Will
three,
it
four,
be one,
five.
two, three? No,
That is
no,
one
no. It
list.
will not be 1, 2, 3, 4. No, no. The keys of dict for this specific question, the keys of dict
Is A, B,
will
C.
be this. Yeah. So I cannot see your screen properly. So what is this? W, right?
Oh, which is
So
W?
dict. Yeah. A, B, C. So
Yes,
the
yes.
keys of this dict will be A, B, C, A, comma B, comma C, or it can be B, comma A, comma C, or it can be C, comma A, comma B. It can be any order. Okay. It is
That's what.
not necessary that
But we
in
have been
that
so
is
far
why
by been doing it in the order which they have given, right? All other questions.
no. That is why we are using dictionary that dictionary value, right? In dictionary you
Okay.
don't have any specific order. We can iterate it in any like any order. Okay. There is not any specific order like you will have to go through A, then B, then C. Okay.
Okay.
It
Okay.
can be any order. So keys of dict will be so the first element of keys of dict will be any one of these, right? A, or it will be B, or it will be C, right? And then
Okay.
whenever we are coming to this for each loop, for each I in keys of dict, that means we are iterating the first element. So first, whenever we are entering this loop for each I, then we are taking the first I, right?
Yes,
Supposing
yes.
that supposing that our keys of dict will be B, comma A, comma C. Okay.
Okay.
Suppose.
Okay.
So for instance, I mean for this moment, our I is B, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. And
Yes,
what will
yes.
be the value of what will be the value of dict of I that on the third line?
Okay, it will give back the list. So if B is first, then it will give back 6, 7, 8, 9.
Exactly. It will return the list, right?
Yes.
The list, and that is 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Yes.
And just because we know that, we don't have any specific order in case of any dictionary. So, and one more thing, on the line number 3, it will return dict of I, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then after that, we are not going to for each loop, right?
Yes. Yes. We will
Because
leave the loop.
yeah, we'll
रिवीजन
completely.
सेशन चल रहा है क्या?
Okay, have you got it? What I'm trying
Yes.
to say.
I got it. I got it. Yeah.
So let's
So
suppose
this is a
your
case with
case
any
of dict
question.
is A, comma B, comma C.
No, this is a case with any question they give. Like they give any dictionary, it's like the keys can be processed in any orders.
Right, exactly. But whenever it comes, suppose this code, you will modify this code, and on the second line, you are writing for each I in rows of dict. Okay, rows of
Oh,
dict, rows or
okay.
columns. And have you remembered that in the lecture, the professor said that rows of any dictionary or columns of any dictionary is the sorted order,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Okay. I get it. I get it.
That is,
Okay.
that's the thing.
Okay. So if it will be rows of dict, then it would have been as per the order. But as it is keys
Yeah,
of dict, it
exactly.
can be any order.
Right.
Okay, fine. Thank you. I got it. Thanks a lot.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. You're audible.
Okay. So, what have been discussed till now? Is the session going on, or there was no one in the session?
Actually, there was no one in the session till now, and I'm planning to leave it because at 7 p.m. we are having stats class also.
Okay.
So I think it's more productive to join over there than sitting here.
हेलो हेलो
Hello.
क्लास नहीं है क्या आज?
Class, we are going to start soon. Just wait for. There was some technical glitch that's why we were not able to see that. Have a session from. Okay, so we'll start from week 5 because week 1 to 4 will be covered in the week 5 to week 8 only because week 1 to 4 has loops and other iterations that will be covered in that part also, right? So what do you want? You want me to go through the week 1 to 4 or week 5 to 8 first? Hello?
Hello, hello, ma'am. Are you TA or?
I'm TA.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
So what do you want me to discuss? The week 1 to 4 first or week 5 to 8? Because in week 5 to 8 we'll be having loops and iterations. That is what we have in week 1 to 4. That will be covered from week 1 to week 5 to 8 also, right? And that also we can cover that.
Yes, ma'am, we can start with 5 to 8 only.
Okay. So is my screen visible? Is my screen visible?
No, ma'am.
visible now.
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay, I'll take the session.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so class, this session was from 6 to 8. Okay, but due to some technical issue, it has been rescheduled, so it will go from 7 to 9. So from 7 to 8, I will be taking, and from 8 to 9, Rishita will be taking.
So is it a doubt clearing or?
No, it's a revision session for week 1 to 8. Specifically, we'll be focusing on week 5 to 8 content, and also we'll be covering slightly on the week 1 to 4 content. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Sir, will you take doubts from week 9 to 12 also? Or?
No, week 9 to 12 today it won't be entertained. Okay, it will be discussed later on.
Okay, sir.
Also, the session which will be there, yes, also the session which will be there from 8 to 10. Okay, regarding that, I'll update you. Will that be conducted or not? I'll update you shortly.
Okay, sir.
Is my voice audible? Clear?
Yes, sir. It's clearly audible.
Okay, so let's start with week 8. Sorry, not week 8. Basically, let's start with week 5.
Sir, are you sharing your screen? It's not visible, sir.
Sir, please start the session.
My screen visible to everyone? Hello. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So can anyone tell me why we are using list? Hello, am I not audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, so can anyone tell me why we are using list?
Actually, ma'am, it's a general question or it's a from week 12 or something?
It's a general question related to the content. So you might be knowing that why we have introduced list.
Yes, ma'am, to have all of the things together.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else who can explain? Okay. So why we have introduced list? Because when we are using variables we use that they can only keep track of a single value. For example, if we want to store count, then count will be stored in a count variable. To store sum, we have to create another variable. But so the conditions in which we need to keep track of collection of values. So in that case, we need something which can accumulate all the information that we want to have. So that's why we introduce list. List will have a sequence of values we can store in a list. So for example, if we want to store how many students got highest marks in math. So if there are two students, we can store both the two students in a list. But however, in the previous case, we can only have a single student among them. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So that is why we need list. And list is what? List is a sequence of values which we keep track within square brackets, which are separated by commas, and they are usually of the same data type, but we can store different also. So for example, this list 1, 13 and 2 is a list with the similar data type, which is integer, right? And the second example, which is Swaminathan was reluctant, open his eyes. So that is the list with string data type, but we can have different data types also, as in the third list. That is 0 is an integer data type, Bhuvnesh is a string data type, and M is a character data type. So we can have different data types also. And a single variable can refer to the entire sequence. So for example, if we are assigning a value L1 to a list, so that means L1 will represent each and every value of the list. And the operations that we can perform on the list are to append two lists. For example, L1 and L2 are two lists, then we can append them. If L1 plus L2, and if L1 is 1, 13, 2, then we can append them together. So L1 plus L2 will be like the list 1, 13, 2, and the second list will be appended after that, just like in this example. Okay.
Yeah, means whichever ma'am is like if L1 is first, so its element will be first, and the L2 is later, so L2 is later. The elements will be later.
Yes, L2 elements will be appended later. So for example, in the second example, that is L2 plus L1. So what we are doing, we are appending L1 element into the list L2. So L1 elements will be appended after the elements of the list L2.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And to append an element, so for example, if we want to add an item into a list L. So X is an element which we want to append in a list L. So for that, it should be converted into the same data type as of list. If we are appending it just like as an element X, so in that case, the procedure will throw an error. However, if we will convert that element into the same data type as of the list, then we can append that. So an element the element should be same data type as of list by putting square braces around that. Okay, is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is what about the list, and so for example, this is the example of list of students born in May. So for example, if we want to have a list of students who were born in May, so what we'll do for that, we'll initialize May list as an empty list, and what we'll do, we'll start a while loop, and the terminating condition for that while loop will be table 1 has more rows. If we have a table of all the students from that table, if the table gets empty, so that will, our while loop will terminate there. Then after that, we'll be reading the, so since we are visiting the while loop for the first time, so we are reading each row one, we will read each row one by one. And after reading each row, what we'll check if the month of birth for that student is May. And if that is May, then what we'll do, we'll append that sequence number. So since sequence number is an element, so it should be in the square braces to append in the May list, because May list is a list data type. So we'll append that in the May list, and similarly, and we'll move that card to table 2. And similarly, we'll check for each row of the table 1, and we'll get a list which is May list of the students who are born in May.
Yes.
Okay. And similarly, you can do it for the students from Chennai. If you want to calculate the list of students who are from Chennai, you can do it in the same way. Only the thing is, you have to check the town city is Chennai. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And how to process with the list. So how we will be processing with the list element. So for that, we have introduced a new thing, that is for each X and L. So if L is a list, so what we'll do, we'll iterate using for each, we can iterate over each element of the list L. And we can do anything that depends on the context. We can do anything, perform our operations, and we can throw the elements of the list. Okay. So for each X and L, so for using for each, we can iterate over each elements of the list. So for example, if our list is L equal to 1, 2, 3, so first for each will take list element 1, then 2, then 3. Okay. Is it clear? Or should I write it somewhere, or?
No, it's
Okay.
if I have it means anyone has out there. If then we will ask again.
Okay. So now we want to calculate, for example, if we want to have nested for each. So if we want to calculate all the students born in May who are from Chennai also. So in that case, we can use nested for each. We'll start with an empty list, that is May Chennai list. So for each X in May list. So we'll iterate over each element of the May list, which we calculated from the previous example. May list is what? The student who are born in Chennai. So student who are born in May, right?
Yes.
So and now in that list, we want to know how many students are from Chennai. So in that list, we'll iterate over, we'll take each element from the list May list, and then we'll check for each Y in Chennai list. If X equal to Y, then May Chennai list, in the May Chennai list, we'll append that student. Okay.
MMX, we can take anything in place of X and Y.
Yes,
Like
we can
for
take
each.
anything. Yes, we can take anything. Okay, so is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. For me, it's clear.
Okay. Then we have some list functions. So list functions, the first function that we have is the length function. So what will length function do? It will count the number of elements in a list and return integer and accept list as a parameter. So what is the function of the length? So we have a length function that will take a list as a parameter and will give you the number of elements in the list. So for example, if our list is 20, have 5 elements. So it will give you the length, which is 5. So if this is the list 20, 30, 40, 50, and 10, so it will count the number of elements in it and it will return that to you. And how it will function? So length of L is defined in such a way that it will count as initialized as 0, and it will iterate over each element using for each. It will iterate over each element of list L and will increment the count for each element. So for example, for this list 20, it will the 20, 30, 40, 50, and 10. So it will for each X in L, for the first time, X will represent the first element, which is 20, and then it will increment the count for it. Then again going to for each, it will represent the second element, which is 30, and then it will increment the count for that element. Similarly, it will iterate over each element of this list, and at the end, count for the 10th element 10, for each will take 10 in L, and count will be incremented for that. And at the last, it will return the count, which will be the number of elements in the list. Okay.
And like this length function, in case when we do programming, so we have to write all this whole pseudocode for the length, or it will directly give us the length.
It depends on the in this CT, we have defined it in such a way that length will give you the length of the list. So based on the language, it depends.
Okay, so the length function was in the Python.
I don't know, I don't think so it will work. So it's like basically we have defined these functions for the CT purpose. So in that, when you'll be learning Python, so there you will be getting all the context, like what are the data types and other things there. Okay. And functions also. Yeah. So, and the other thing that is there, that is to be noted in this, is if empty list is passed as a parameter. So for example, so if there is no element in the list, so that function, what will length function return? It will not execute at all. So if an empty list, so because it is not having any element, right? So it will return you 0. That means the function will not execute in that case. Because count will not be incremented, it will remain the same as it is in the start.
Yes.
Yeah. So empty
Because
list
it
means
don't have any
elements and it will
means
there
it
is
don't
no
have any elements there.
Yes. Okay. Now what we have another function which is first of L. So first of L accepts a list as a parameter and returns first element in the provided list. And the return statement terminates the execution of for each block while executing the first element itself. So after the return value, return you the first element. And as soon as the return returns you the first element, we'll terminate the for each loop. That is what we have learned till now, that as soon as we encountered return, and it will return you the value, and there will be the termination of the loop in which the procedure or the pseudocode in which it has, right?
Yes.
So first, so this is a list 20, 30, 40, 50. So if this has been passed as a parameter to the function first, so what it will return? It will return you the first element of that list, that is 20. So first of all, how it will execute? It will have a for each loop. Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I'm sorry to disturb, but when did this session begin? Ma'am, when did this session begin?
It started at 6, but there was a technical glitch. That's why it started late.
So until what time is the session? But
it will go on till 8, and after that there is a session, right? 8 to 10. So you all can join that session.
okay, ma'am. That will be a doubt clearing session or something.
That is a pseudocode with a session, and in that you can ask your doubts also. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So okay. So first of all, how it will execute, that we have a for each x in it. It is defined in such a way that it will iterate using for each. We can iterate over each element. So as soon as for each iterates over the first element, that is 20, x will represent 20 for this list, and then it will return the first element, which is 20. And due to return statement, it will terminate the execution of this loop. Is it clear? Anyone has doubt in this? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the thing that is to be noted for this function is, if an empty list is passed as a parameter, then the output will be undefined, because we cannot compute the first of an empty list. Okay. And similarly, we have a last function that will calculate the last element in the provided list. The list that has been passed as a parameter, it will calculate the last of that list. So for this list that we have as an example, it will give you the last element for the list. And similarly, just like we have the definition of the first, function, we have the definition of the last function also. So how it is defined that using for each, we'll iterate over each element and e will be equal to the x. And as soon as you encountered the last element, e will be that element, e will represent that element, and then we'll return the value of e. Okay. Also, as similar to the first function, if an empty list is also passed to this procedure, so we cannot calculate the last element of an empty list. So it's the error, it will throw an error and the output will be undefined. Okay. Hello.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah. And rest of L. So rest is a function that accepts a list as a parameter and it will return you all elements of the list except the first element. So that means from a particular list, what that has been passed as a parameter, what we will do, we'll remove the first element and rest of the list will be returned from the procedure. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how it is defined that in the starting, initially found is false and rest of list is initialized as an empty list and for each x in L. So that means using for each, we are iterating over the elements of list L and if found, that means if the found value is true, then we are going to do rest list equal to rest list plus x. That means we'll append the element in the list. But since found is initialized as false, so we'll go to the else block and found will become true. And then since found has become true, so we'll again go to for each x in L. That means x will represent second element. For the first element, we haven't done anything in this loop. For the first element, we went to the if, but since found was false, so we cannot move inside if block. So we went to the else and we update found to true. And then we again go to for each x in L. Now our x is updated to the second element in the list. And since found is true, then we can append the next elements that we'll be having in the list into the rest list. So in that way, what we'll have, we'll remove the first element from the list L and we'll have rest of the elements in the rest list, which is the returned value of this function. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the thing that is to be noted, that if we pass an empty list or list of length 1, then rest L function will return an empty list. So if we pass an empty list, so what it will return? It will return an empty list or a list that is one element. So in that case also it will return an empty list, because after the removal of the one element, it will give you an empty list. Okay. So similarly, we have init of L function that will accept a list as a parameter, just like earlier function. And in this function, what we'll do the reverse of rest of L. In rest of L, we'll remove the first element, but by using init of L, we'll remove the last element. So similarly, in the same way, using init of L, we'll have the same list as earlier. The only thing that will be changed in the list is that the last element that is there in the list will not have that. So if init of L is defined as initially found is false and init of list is an empty list initialized, and for each x in L, so we'll iterate over each element of L, and since initially found is false, we cannot go inside if block, so we'll update found to true and previous, and then we'll go to for each x in L. So previous will become x and for each x in L, if found, init equal to init list plus previous. So that means the previous is the first value that we have in the list, right? That previous is being appended into the init list. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what we are doing, we are appending previous value in the init list. So for example, if 20 is being appended, now for each x in L will represent 30. X is what? 30, right? For in case, because if we start from 20, for each x in L, x will represent 20, but since found is false, we can anything. So we move to else. So found will become true and previous will have the x value, which is 20. So previous 20. So we again move to for each x in L. Now x is 30 and previous 20 and found is true because we updated that. So we can append in the init list a value which is 20. Now previous is 20, so we again come because if was executed, so else block will not execute, and previous which was 20 now becomes 30 because x value is 30. So we'll again go to for each. Now x will become 40 and found was true. So init list will have 30 also. We'll append 30 also. Similarly, 40 will also we can also append because previous x is 40 and previous will become 40. In the next step, we'll append 40. And this, in another step, we'll append 50. Now, as soon as we encounter 10, so after the after appending 50, so we have x as 10 because x is 10 and previous was 50, so we appended that. Now we come at previous x, previous will become 10, right? So when we come for each x in L, our list is empty. We don't have anything to iterate over. So that element, which is the last element, will remain outside of the list. We cannot append that. And after that, it will return you the init list. So that means in the init list will not have the last element in that. And just like in the rest of L, if we pass an empty list or a list of one length 1, so the function will return an empty list. Okay. And member function, yeah. So next we have member function. So what it will be? So it will check that if there is if we have some element in the list, if L is a list, it will check that particular element is there in the list or not. It will check about the membership of an element in a list. So for example, if this is a list, so if we want to check if 30 is there or not, so it will check if 30 is there, then it will return true. And if not, then it will return false. And the execution of it is defined in such a way that we'll iterate over each list. And as soon as x will have the first element. So say for example, if x is from this list 20, 30, 40, and 50, if x is 20 in the first time when we'll be iterating for the first time, now e has been assigned with the value of 20. It is checking that if the value that is e has, if it is equal to x. If not, then it will skip that and it will again go to for each x in L. It will check each element of the list one by one. And at the end, it will return false if it is not there. And if it is there, then it will return true. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, and just like we have list of pairs, we can have list of triples also. So list of pairs is what? We will be having two values in a list. Each element in a list will represent two values. So that will form a pair. So for example, to keep the track of students' maths marks or physics marks. So what we are doing, we are creating a list. And in that list, each element is also a list that has a student ID and their marks in any subject. Say for example, in maths. So we have a student ID and their maths marks. So in this way, we can have a list of pairs. And similarly, if you want to keep track of ID and total marks and in the marks in any subject. So in that way, we can have a list of triples also. We can have 3 elements as an element in a list. So this is a list. The outer square braces is a list. And in that, each element is representing 3 values. Each element has 3 values inside it, which represents a triple. So triples are what? Having 3 elements in a list. As an element in a list, and list of pairs is what? Having 2 elements as an element value in a list. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So do anyone have any doubt in this list?
Ma'am, can you just explain the statement if an empty list is passed as a parameter, output is undefined?
Okay, so output is undefined means it will throw an error or it won't work there, right? For that particular value, it will not work. So where is that one? If an empty list is passed as a parameter, then the output is undefined because we cannot compute last of an empty list or first of an empty list, right?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So undefined in the sense that it will throw an error or it will not function there. The procedure will not function for that particular parameter. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So any other doubt anyone has in this list? If not, then we can move to dictionary. Do anyone have doubt in this?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let's move to dictionary. So now anyone can tell me why we need dictionary?
Because list does not allow us to access data randomly. We have to go
Yes.
through each element,
Yes.
and
That is what. Yeah. Go ahead.
we want to access data randomly to to do some process fastly.
Okay. So what is there that in a list are what keeps a sequence of values, and to iterate over through a list will not allow you to access elements randomly. So for example, if we want to access an element which is at the 5th position, so to reach that we have to iterate over 4 elements first, then we can reach the element which is at the 5th position. That is the drawback of the list. No, and so that's why we have introduced dictionary. So in dictionary will have a key value pair in which each key is unique and we have a value corresponding to that. So using that key, we can access the values, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So for example, if we want to store chemistry marks of each student, so what will be having? We have each student, say for example, ID as key and their chemistry mark as value. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the dictionary, to extract a key which is at first position or which is at the last position, it will take the same time. It will allow random access and the time will also be the same. It will not take that if it is at the first position, then it will take 10 minutes, and if it is the 5th position, then it will take 60 minutes or something like that. It will not be like that. If it is taking 5 minutes to access the first key, it will take 5 minutes to access the 10th key also. Okay.
Yes,
And in
ma'am.
the dictionary, we can store key and values of different data types. Any key and any value will be any of the data type. It can be integer also, it can be string also, it can be character also. And we can store duplicate values, but key must be unique because key is the identity for each value, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And also in the dictionaries, the order is not preserved. However, in the list it was so, but in the dictionaries, dictionaries do not preserve orders. And in the dictionaries, each element can be another dictionary. Each value can be another dictionary. That means it can be nested also. Just like in the list, we can have an element as a list also. In the dictionaries also, we will be having a key, and corresponding to that, we can have a dictionary also. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you just show that?
Which one? Which
The
part?
above part? Above part, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, is it fine now? Should I move forward?
Just a minute. So the M is equal to chem marks, that is for extracting the value, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now it's
Just a minute, can you just scroll up? Sorry, ma'am.
okay.
What does it mean I can store duplicate values, but keys must be unique?
So that means each key is the identity for each value, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if we have duplicate keys, then we will not be able to find that which key is for which element, for which value. Using unique keys, we can extract them, right?
Like,
Values
ma'am,
can
the next statement, if does not preserve the order of elements, means the key has some order, but it need not be preserved.
so preserve the order means if we have keys. So first key can become the last key. So for example, if we change the position of the keys, right? So it doesn't matter in the dictionaries. We can change if we write it like just a minute. So if we write it like this, A is some dictionary and if we write, so say these are the student names and we are assigning some marks to them. Okay. So for example, and then so say these are few students and their marks are given. So each key is unique and they have some values, but we can duplicate the values. So say we can have 56. Both the student Ram and Shyam has 56 marks. So in this way, values are we can access these values using their unique keys, right? But if we duplicate their keys, so for example, if we have two students with the same name, then we will not be able to find which one is which Shyam and which one is the first and which one is the second, right? If they have different marks also, then we cannot find that. So for example, if the procedure, if you want to calculate, if you want to have the marks of the first Shyam, which is 56 marks, and it is giving you the marks of the second one, so that will be an error, right? So that means for that case, keys should be unique. And order preserver is what? So if we have, and if we change the place of these two, so so for example, we have changed the position of Rita and Shyam, right? In this dictionary, we have changed the position. Does it matter? Do you think that it will affect our procedure or it will affect our result?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So that is what that dictionary does not preserve the order of elements in it. If you disturb the order, then it doesn't matter because we have keys through which we can access each value. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So where we were. Just a minute. Okay. So till now everything is clear, right? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now for the dictionaries, what we have key dictionaries are key value pairs, and that is what I explained. That so say for example, if A is a dictionary, Ram, Rita, and Sham are the key, and 56, 46, and 65 are the values. For that, for each key, we have a value corresponding to that. So and will be the empty dictionary. So empty dictionary will be like, for example, if E is some variable, then empty dictionary will like that. We can, if we want to initialize as an empty dictionary something, so we'll initialize like that. So now, so if we want to access the value corresponding to some key, so how we'll access that? So for example, if we want to access the mark for student Ram, so how we will access? So we'll assign. So say for example, if S is a variable, so we'll assign it. We want to have the marks of key Ram. We want to assign the marks of key Ram to the variable S. So what we'll do? We'll have the name of the dictionary, and in that dictionary, what is the key? Will provide that key, and that key should be in a square braces to access that value. Okay, to access that value, we have to write the key in the square braces. So what will be the value? So S will become the value corresponding to the key Ram, which is 56. Okay.
Yes,
Is it
ma'am.
clear to everyone? Yeah. Okay. So now similarly, if we want to assign some value in a dictionary. So for example, in the A dictionary, we want to assign we want to create some key and assign a value to that. So in that case, what we'll do, we'll write that value in a square braces, and we'll assign the value we want to do for that. So so now we have done that. So how will our dictionary change? It will create a new key with the name Rahul, and it will assign a value in that. Is 92. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, if for example, we want to collect chemistry mark in a dictionary. So how will do? We'll initialize. So to have the collection in a dictionary, we must have a dictionary. We should have a dictionary. So for that, we initialize first the chemistry marks dictionary as an empty dictionary, and then what we do? We use while loop to iterate over each row of the table. So that is the termination condition for the while loop. That means if the table 1 gets empty, we'll stop the iterating through the loop. So now we are reading the first row of the table 1, and we are checking if name is equal to x dot name and marks equal to x dot chemistry mark. So that means what we are doing, we are having two variables, name and mark, and we are assigning name in that row to the name variable and chemistry marks in that row, that is the table has, to the mark variable. And in the chemistry marks dictionary, what we are doing, we are creating a key with name and we are assigning marks to it. Okay, and then we are moving back to table. Similarly, we'll be having each row, we'll visit each row of table 1 and we'll assign the value of those rows to the name and marks. Each time we'll assign that value. So name and marks will get updated, and then we'll create a key for that name and we'll assign a mark in that dictionary. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how we proceed in the dictionary? To iterate through a dictionary, what will be having? Keys of E. And keys of E is what? List of keys of E. So for example, for this dictionary A, if we want to extract keys of dictionary A, so what will be the value? It will give you a list with the name, And it doesn't matter that the list will be in the same order as the keys are. So for example, if Ram is at the first position, so it will not always be true that Ram will be at the first position only. It can the because what is there that dictionary does not preserve order, right? So keys of A can be in any order, right? So so let's change the order. We can have first also. Anything can be there in the first position, and anything can be there in the at the second position. So now what we want to have. So if we want to do something with the keys of, so for example, if we want to add up the student marks of each student in the dictionary A. So what we'll do now, using for each keys of A, we have expected the keys of A. So for each K in keys of B. Sorry, not keys of B. It should be A because our dictionary is A, right? So now K will represent the first element in the list. To say K is Ram, if K is Ram, then what will we have? If we want to do something with the value of Ram, so what we'll do? Say we have variable count in which we want to accumulate the student marks of each student. So we want D of A of okay. So in this way, you will be able to count each student. You will be able to add each student mark in this. Okay. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So similarly, there is another example to calculate the average chemistry mark, and that you can do. So what it is there that total and count are the two variables that has been initialized, and using for each in the chemistry marks, the keys of chemistry marks will represent each student. So using keys, we have extracted that, and for each key, what we are doing for each student, we are accumulating the count in total, and at the end, we are finding the chemistry average. And if you want to know that, just like in the list, we have a member function. And now in the dictionaries, if you want to know if some key is there in the dictionary or not, so that we can avoid duplicate. So in that case, what we'll do, we have another function which is key. So how it functions? That the function is key A. If A is our dictionary, then what it will check? A comma. Say for example, if we want to check if Rita is there, then what it will do? It will check that if Rita is there as a key or not, and it will return you. So for this case, Rita is there, so it will return you true. And if, for example, instead of Rita, if we check if Rishi is there, then what it will return? It will return false. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And so how we will be creating a dictionary? So for example, if we are going through some data, so let's take this example only. So we want to accumulate some data into a dictionary. So process a data set with runs from different matches, and that run each time we see an entry for so say for example we want to process data for the Kohli run. the runs scored by Virat Kohli. So each time we see an entry for Kohli, we have to update his score. So say Kohli has played 5 matches. So each time we visit, we found that Kohli has played this match. So we'll be updating the value corresponding to the Kohli. Now what will happen if we found the first match played by Kohli? So in that case, we have to create a key for Kohli. So how will we create that? So we can create that using the dictionary. We'll write the dictionary name and we'll write a key in the square bracket, just like we did here. That is, in the dictionary A, we created a key with the name Rahul. Just like that, you will be creating a key and you will be assigning the value to it. The first case when you will be when you are creating the key for the first time. Okay. And if you want to update, so say for example, if you want to update Rahul's mark, so what you will do? If you want to increment that, then you can add in that, or if you want to subtract, then you can subtract in that, and or if you want to update it directly, that instead of 92, it should have 56. So what you will do? You will assign instead of 92, you will assign 56, and the value will change to 56. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And similarly, this is the procedure for checking a key. That's what I explained to you, that if you want to check something, some value, some name or some element is there as a key in the dictionary A, then you will be checking that, and if it is there, then it will return true, otherwise false. So that is the procedure for that. The procedure is key D comma A. In the starting, found is false, and for each key, keys of D. Keys of D is for the list, right? And then it will check if key equal to k, the k that we want to check. Just like member function check member, it checks for the key, and if it is there, it will return true and will come out of this for each. And if not, and if we do not found it for the first time, it will check in the whole list of the keys of D, and at the end it will return found. Okay. So that's all about the dictionaries. Yeah, that is all about the dictionaries and lists. If anyone has any doubt, he or she can ask. So anyone has any doubt in this?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So if you have any, so now you can, or you all can join the pseudocode wizard session. That will start from, I think that has started because it's already 8. So you can join that. You can ask your doubt there also.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining. We'll meet tomorrow in the meet. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.